What's going on, world? DS1 Ross, and I'm back. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody who support me. SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV. I appreciate all the love and the support, as always. Much love to y'all, man. Um, Tonight, we're going to continue the Black History Month series as promised. So, I appreciate that. So, shout out to everybody, man. Much love. Thanks for all the support. Starting from 2017. 2017 is when I started this series. So if you haven't yet, go check out the Black History Month series of 2017 and 2018. And tonight on the Black History Month series of 2019, we're going to talk about Harry T. Moore. Harry T. Moore. You guys are unfamiliar with him. I'm going to get you guys familiar with him tonight. You guys can do your own research and learn about the brother even more. Um, Definitely a powerful black man who done a lot of great things for black people and attempted to free black people. See, we got to understand that these people back in these times, man, were freedom fighters. We got to understand that these people weren't just people who were, activists. These people were freedom fighters. Like I said, this was their life's journey, man. So we have to always remember that when we're listening to these people's stories. Because in order for you to actually put into perspective what they went through and why they did what they done, they were fighting for freedom. They wanted to be free, just like a lot of us today. We just want to be free. We want to be able to have the proper opportunity so we can live free in this country. Because they call this country the land of the free. This is why people come from all over the world to America, because it's supposed to be the land of the free. So we got to understand that we fought to be free. We wanted to be free. We wanted to feel like everybody else felt and lived in society during a certain time. So let's get into the brother Harry T. Moore. I appreciate y'all, like I said, once again, for tuning in to the Black History Month series and tuning in tonight. And let's get to it. Harry T. Moore was born on November 18th, 1905, in Huston, Florida, a tiny farming community in Suwannee County in Florida, in the Florida Panhandle. Excuse me. He was the only child of Johnny and Rosa Moore. His father tended the water tanks for the Seaboard Airline Railroad and ran a small store in front of the house. Johnny Moore's health faltered when Harry was 9 years old, and he died in 1914. Rosa tried to manage alone, working in the cotton fields and running her little store on the weekends. But in 1915, she sent Harry to live with one of her sisters in Daytona Beach. The following year, he moved to Jacksonville, where he spent the next 3 years living with three other aunts, Jessie, Adriana, and Maisie Tyson. This would prove to be the most important period in his formative years. Jacksonville had a large and vibrant African American community with a proud tradition of independence and intellectual achievement. Moore's aunts were educated, well informed women. Two were educators, and one was a nurse who took his spindly, who took this spindly, intelligent boy into their house on Louisiana Street and treated him like the son they've never had. So his other aunts didn't have children, or they didn't have a son. Under their nurturing guidance, Moore's natural inquisitiveness and love of learning were reinforced. After 3 years in Jacksonville, he returned home to Suwannee County in 1919 and enrolled in the high school program of Florida Memorial College. Over the next 4 years, Moore excelled in his studies, earning straight A's, except for one B plus. He was nicknamed Doc by his classmates. In May 1925, at the age 19, he graduated from Florida Memorial College with a normal degree and accepted a teaching job in Cocoa, Florida, in the watery wilderness of Brevard County. Now, I just want to point this out before I keep this going, family. If you notice, a lot of our early day educators or a lot of our early day freedom fighters, they were extremely intelligent. School was nothing to them. They just breezed through school. You know, education was not a problem for them. They didn't mind going to school because they knew that this is what they needed to do to become the professionals they wanted to become in society to help their people. So they didn't mind, going to college. Like today, people say you don't need college. You couldn't tell these people that back in them times. He spent the next 2 years teaching fourth grade at Cocoa's only black elementary school. During his first year in Brevard County, he met an attractive older woman. She was 23 while he was barely 20, named Harriet Vita Sims. She had taught school herself. So he met another teacher, but was currently selling insurance for the Atlanta Life Insurance Company. Within a year, they were married. So she taught school and she also sold life insurance. Her family lived in Mims, a small citrus town outside of Titusville. The newlyweds moved in with Harriet's parents until they built their own house on an adjoining acre of land. Notice that they didn't buy a house, they built their own house. They got their house built from the ground up, which is another thing that, you know, us as a people don't think about doing anymore. Meanwhile, Harry had been promoted to principal of the Titusville Colored School, which went from 4th through 9th grade. He taught 9th grade and supervised a staff of 6 teachers. In March 1928, their eldest daughter, Annie Rosalia, nicknamed Peaches, was born. When Peaches was 6 months old, Harriet began teaching at the Mims Colored School. On September 30th, 1930, their baby daughter, Juanita, was born. In 1934, Harry Moore started the Brevard County NAACP. Now, that's another thing. Notice, most of the people who joined the NAACP, a lot of them, a lot of the notable people, they started their own chapters where they were. Almost like how you got lodges in every city. They had a chapter in many formidable black cities. And the people started their own chapters there. So it wasn't just uh, a centralized place where the organization reigned. It was chapters of people, which made it which made it more powerful. I feel like that makes it much more powerful because as you're traveling, you can go and meet up with people like you know, that have your credentials and that have the same mindset and goals. In 1937, in conjunction with the All Black Florida State Teachers Association and backed by the NAACP, attorney Thurgood Marshall in New York, Moore filed the first lawsuit in the Deep South to equalize black and white teachers' salaries. His good friend, John Gilbert, principal of the Cocoa Junior High School, courageously volunteered as the plaintiff. Although the Gilbert case was eventually lost in state court, it spawned a dozen other federal lawsuits in Florida that eventually led to equalized salaries. You see? So, as y'all can see, he was into social reform. He fought for the black teachers to make sure we got paid just as much as the other teachers. You know, don't lowball us because y'all hate the way we look. You know, we all teachers, so y'all need to pay us equally. By 1941, NAACP work had become Moore's driven obsession. In 1941, he organized the Florida State Conference of the NAACP and soon became its unpaid executive secretary. So he took on this as his life's work. So this was his passion. Like I said, this was his life's work. So he didn't need to get paid for it. You know, nowadays you got a lot of these um self-proclaimed revolutionaries in the so-called black community, but they always crying about how they need money. Not saying that you don't need money to do things, but their underlying message be money, man. You see? He did this without getting paid. In a time where life was much harder than it is now. In a time where you needed money more than you need it now. Money was much harder to get than it is now in society. Shit, you can make money doing anything now. Back then, them people couldn't do certain things. And the way society was, a little bit of money was a lot for black folk. Because our mindset back then was different. Our mindset was freedom, not finance, but freedom. Because see, they had the work ethic to always get to the money. So money wasn't the issue. This is why you never really, when you hear these people's stories, they never complained about money. They wanted equality. They wanted freedom in society. They didn't want to be hated because of how they looked. They didn't want to be lowballed and unappreciated and not recognized. He began churning out eloquent letters, circulars, and broadsides protesting unequal salaries, segregated schools, and the disenfranchisement of black voters. Notice that word, disenfranchisement. We weren't getting a fair shot. In 1943, he moved into an even more dangerous arena, lynchings and police brutality. Who else took on that fight? Ida B. Wells. Y'all go check out Ida B. Wells Barnett. I just did her last night. At first, his protests were confined to letters to the governor, but he quickly threw himself directly into lynching cases, taking sworn affidavits from the victims' families, and even launching his own investigations. From that point until his death, Moore investigated every single lynching in Florida. See? In 1944, Thurgood Marshall won a major victory in the landmark Smith versus Allwright case, in which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Lily White Democratic Party primary was unconstitutional. Harry Moore immediately organized the Progressive Voters League. And in the next 6 years, due to primarily his leadership, over 116,000 black voters were registered in the Florida Democratic Party. So what he did was he aggregated the black vote. He brought all the black voters together. This represented 31% of all eligible black voters in the state, a figure that was 51% higher than any other southern state. You know who else brought the black voters together? Larry Hoover. Y'all go check that out. 2017 Black History Month series. In June 1946, Moore paid a terrible price for his political activism, as he and Harriet were both fired from their teaching jobs. Just like they did who? Ida B. Wells. They didn't renew her contract. And that was because of what? Her anti-lynching publications. So was Harry T. Moore and his wife. They were fired. So going against the grain was always an issue. We was always being punished for not being coons. You see? We was always punished for loving us first. See, these people weren't pro-black. They were black first. See, that pro-black stuff, y'all got to stay away from that. Because being a pro-black was something that was created, that was manufactured. Our historians were black first. That's what they were. Realizing that he would be blacklisted, aka blackballed, from teaching, Moore took a bold step. He became a full-time paid organizer for the Florida NAACP. So he said, oh, okay, y'all want to take my job from me? Okay, now I'm going to pay myself and work full-time for the NAACP in Florida that he helped create. See, just by that statement alone shows you that they separated getting money from being a freedom fighter. Today, these pro-blacks that you hear claiming to be fighting for the liberation of our people, the conversation always turns back to how they gonna get paid. But the people back in the day, they separated getting paid, getting money from the movement. The two wasn't synonymous. See? During his 2 years, he built the Florida NAACP to a peak of over 10,000 members in 63 branches. In January 1949, however, the NAACP national office doubled annual dues from $1 to $2, and membership plummeted all over the country. Florida filed suit, dropping to 3,000 members in the next year. Moore and the national office began having increasing disagreements over his political activities and his full-time status. You know what that sounds like to me? People are getting scared off. They running them people away from this brother, so he could have no protection. So what could eventually happen? He could possibly be assassinated. See, you see how it works. They fire you from your job. He made a bolder step. He said, all right, I'm gonna do this full time now. Y'all want to fire me? All right, now I'm gonna pay myself and I'm gonna make this thing even bigger. And then all of a sudden, people just start dropping off. You think that just, happens naturally? No. You think some of them people houses wasn't doors and stuff wasn't kicked in? You think some of them people jobs wasn't put on the line? They wasn't threatened to be fired and all of that? Think, family. I need y'all to think. Don't just sit here and listen to me read, but y'all got to actually process the information. Think about why that happened. Why did he lose 3,000 members? Why? Because the powers that be made sure that it happened. That's why. Because they were setting up something else. Pay attention, family. Pay attention. I'll get to the chat after I'm done reading, but I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. If you're tuned in, please hit that like button and that share button. In July 1949, the Groveland rape burst upon the national scene after 4 young black men were accused of raping a white woman. A white mob went on a rampage through Groveland's black neighborhood, and the National Guard had to be called out to restore order. Once again, Moore threw himself into the case. Same thing Ida B. Wells used to do, because this is part of social reform. What they call them now? What do they call them now? SLJs or something, social justice leaders or something, which is a watered down version of the real thing. After uncovering evidence that the Groveland defendants had been brutally beaten, Moore leveled those charges against the most notorious lawmen in the country, Sheriff Willis McCall of Lake County. So he went up against the sheriff. Now, if y'all watch any of those old slave movies, the sheriff is what controlled the towns. And most of the sheriffs, if they weren't in the Klan, they agreed with the Klan and the things that the Klan was doing to black people. This is why the Klan felt they were untouchable, because they had people in the system who was in favor for what they were doing. See? Groveland defendants Walter Irvin, Sammy Shepard, and 16-year-old Charles Greenland were convicted in 1949, and Irvin and Shepard were sentenced to death. You hear that? He went up against the sheriff. Those guys still got sentenced because the sheriff is the most powerful magistrate in the land. It's the sheriff. In April 1951, however, Irvin and Shepard's convictions were overturned. Wow. By the U.S. Supreme Court. Lake County immediately prepared to try them again. On November 6, 1951, god damn, it was that quick? A few months later, huh? While Sheriff McCall was driving 2 of the defendants, Walter Irvin and Sammy Shepard, back to Lake County for a pre-trial hearing, he shot them, killing Shepard and critically wounding Irvin. You see how wicked what I just told y'all about these sheriffs. This man is wicked. He a goddamn sheriff that's bringing these guys in to be tried, and he tried to kill them both. He killed one of them. Now, here go the age-old lie that all police like to use. Listen to this. McCall claimed that the handcuffed prisoners had attacked him while trying to escape. Whoa, that's isn't the cops still using that shit to this day? They use that to kill us every day. Oh, he made a sudden move. Oh, I didn't know what he was trying to do and I was scared, so I shot him. This is they've been using this excuse forever. Come on, y'all. This is nothing new. I'm going to read that again. On November 6, 1951, while Sheriff McCall was driving two of the defendants, Walter Irvin and Sammy Shepard, back to Lake County for a pre-trial hearing, he shot them, killing Shepard and critically wounding Irvin. McCall claimed that the handcuffed prisoners had attacked him while trying to escape. Irvin claimed that McCall had simply yanked them out of his car and started firing. Of course, that's what these monsters do. Of course, that's what these savages do. Of course. Because whenever we decide to stand up, you know what they do? They put us down. Even when we try to go about it the legal way, through paperwork. When they know they in the wrong and they can't, you know how they cover it up? They kill us and say, "Oh, I was scared. I was scared. I don't know. The handcuffs got loose." But you put the goddamn handcuffs on. These people are wicked. The shooting created a national scandal. Of course. Harry Moore began calling for McCall's suspension and indictment for murder. Now, why did he do that? Why did he do that? Because he was a freedom fighter. And when you a freedom fighter, you would die to be free. If you have to die to set a precedent in the world so that the next upcoming generations can have some form of freedom, some form. Because see, just like we sit on YouTube and talk about how we know this stuff ain't gonna change overnight, them people knew the same thing. So understand, we're having a bunch of circular arguments when it comes to history, when it comes to politics and all of that. We're having circular arguments. Nobody has no real solutions. You know what people say the solution is now? Oh, just get money. Like they can't take your money. Like they just did R. Kelly. Like they did Bill Cosby. Like they just won't take your money. If you're a political leader, they'll find a way to make you a political prisoner, or they'll just kill you. Why did you do that, Harry? That was the wrong thing to do. Calling for his suspension and to indict him for murder. Why would you do that? I just told y'all a lot of sheriffs back in those days were part of the Klan. A lot of government officials were Klan members. That was the norm. Now look what happens after he makes this bold act. See, he already made one bold act. Y'all remember the first bold act, right? When they fired him and his wife, he started running his chapter of the NAACP full time, and he paid himself. That was the first bold act. And he started going at all of these people who was lynching black people. Then you try to get an indictment on a sheriff back in the 1940s and 50s. Look what happened to the brother because he did that. Only 6 weeks later, on Christmas Day, 1951, Moore himself was killed. Moore himself was killed. Okay? So what you see going on today, it ain't nothing new. It's nothing new. Let me read that again. Only 6 weeks later. Because remember, when this wicked sheriff shot these two probably innocent black men and tried to kill, he killed one of them. And then the powerful brother Harry Moore stepped up and tried to get him indicted for killing that brother for no reason and almost killing the other man just because he was a racist pig. 6 weeks later, his house was bombed and they killed him. Who y'all think bombed his house? I just told y'all the sheriff is the most powerful man, the most powerful magistrate on the land. When the sheriff come, everybody has to stop talking and listen to him, especially in the South. They bringing the sheriff out. See, I know about that because I currently live in the South. When the sheriff come out, everything stops. The local police, everybody talks to him. They talk to the sheriff, not your captains of the police department with the little white shirts. No, we talking about the sheriff. That's the big man. You tried to get a sheriff indicted in a time where racism and prejudice is at an all-time high. He didn't care though. He knew it was a possibility he could get killed. He didn't care because he was a freedom fighter. He did that so people like me and other brothers like Brother Rob will be saluting him today. See? You see what a legacy is? See, because he knew if he didn't do that, we wouldn't be talking about him today. If he just wanted to fly low under the radar and just make money and be a teacher, he wouldn't have made the impact he would have made. See, his name is going to live forever because freedom never dies. And PBS, by the way, wrote this article about Harry T. Moore. This is a PBS article. And the name of the article is Freedom Never Dies. Only 6 weeks later, on Christmas Day, 1951, Moore himself was killed when a bomb was placed beneath the floor hoist directly under his bed. So that means they broke into his house while he was not there and planted a bomb. Do y'all hear that? Oh, but we like to talk about terrorist attacks. What was that? Y'all put a bomb under this man's bed. Killed him and his wife. Did you know his wife, Harriet, was in the bed with him? That was his wife. Moore died on the way to the hospital. His wife, Harriet, died 9 days later. So, question, why wasn't terrorism talked about back then? Why is terrorism such a big thing now when terrorist attacks was happening on American soil back in the 1950s and 40s? Why they wasn't talking about terrorist attacks back then? Because the terrorist attacks was being put on us. That's why. That's why. That's why terrorism was never a big thing until they blew them goddamn buildings up. Because they've been blowing us to smithereens. They ain't have no problem killing us in any form or fashion. They could have broken his house and just shot him. They put a bomb under his bed. Listen to that. We talking about 1951, family. They put a bomb under his bed. They could have just set the house on fire. They put a bomb under his bed. That's terrorism. That's terrorism. Oh, but nobody want to talk about that. Let's keep it going. The protest over Moore's death rocked the nation with dozens of rallies and memorial meetings around the country. President Truman and Florida Governor Fuller Warren were inundated with telegrams and protest letters. Despite an extensive FBI investigation, however, and two later investigations, the murders have never been solved. Of course. Of course. Because the sheriff had it done. And at that time, you had a racist person running the FBI. So, of course, they're not going to find anything. We didn't find anything. Come on, y'all. Pay attention. Pay attention. Where did Trayvon Martin get killed at? Didn't he get killed in Florida? By a race soldier by the name of George Zimmerman? And didn't he get off by saying what? He was attacked. Isn't that what the sheriff said?
Yeah.
The sheriff said he was attacked too. Like Zimmerman said he was attacked. And he was scared for his life. Man, y'all better wake up, man. Y'all better wake up and get up off this pro-black garbage. Harry Moore was the first, the first, the first, the first, the first, the first NAACP official killed in the civil rights struggle. He was the first. Killed for civil rights. He was the first one. And he and Harriet are the only husband and wife to give their lives to the movement. Let me read that again. Harry Moore was the first NAACP official. They killed the NAACP official. Okay? Not just a regular member. Remember, he moved himself up to executive and cut himself a check after they fired him. But he was the first official to be killed in the name of civil rights. So the people know why he was murdered. They know why. Because he stood up for what was right. And him and his wife was the only ones to give their life to the movement. That means after this, the BS came. The sellouts came. The goons will spawn out of the NAACP, the goons. Because we all know that what? The NAACP was backed by what? White dollars, but had a black face. This is why Ida B. Wells got away from the NAACP. Just like Black Lives Matter is ran by white dollars, i.e. George Soros, but has a black face. That better wake up. But if y'all want to go and check out this article, it's at pbs.org. Y'all could just go to pbs.org and type in Harry T. Moore. Now I'm going to come here to the chat. Shout out everybody in the chat. Oh, yeah, he's definitely still alive, my brother Sonny. Shout out to Sonny Boxing Talk. Appreciate you tuning in, bro. Shout out to Red Bull on the check-in. Shout out to my brother Rob, the good brother Rob, the educator. Brother Rob, you the reason why I chose Harry T. Moore. Because you always talk about him. And I'm like, man, let me see why brother Rob always shouting out this brother. So I appreciate you, bro. You educate everywhere you go, man. You can't help it. I know. Like I said, shout out to Sonny again. Sonny Boxing Talk. Shout out to Always a Lady. I appreciate you for tuning in and stopping by. Shout out to my brother Gab. Shout out to Ella. Shout out to my brother Jacquel. Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to my sister Rain and Woman. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Ty Brown, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in and supporting me. Shout out to Monique Hill. I appreciate you. Thanks for the hugs all the way from Cali. And thanks for supporting the Black History Month series. Let me see who else up in here. Shout out the crew. Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, okay. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody. I appreciate y'all tuning in. For real. This story, man, was man, man, oh man, man, damn. Mm. Killed him and his wife, man. That shit got me feeling some kind of way right now, family. I'm not even gonna lie. You know, that's crazy. But I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. I will be back tonight. Um, I will be back tonight. You guys give me about another hour, and I will be back with another freedom fighter. Another freedom fighter. Um, like I said, if y'all haven't yet, go and check out the Black History Month series for 2017 and 2018. Go and check it out, y'all. Go and check them out. They're in my playlist section. Yeah, his story is inspiring. I know, especially for you, bro, because you're an educator. And I know, things be rough for you sometime, brother Rob, because you for your people, you know? You for your people, man. And for the brothers like you, they try to, I know y'all gotta kind of walk a fine line, you know? Shout out to Cuzzo on the check-in. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that, Cuzzo. I've been thinking about maybe just bringing some notable people, um, a dissertation about some notable people to the platform. Probably do that once a month. I've been thinking about that. Somebody else requested me to do that too. I know, man. I know, bro. I mean, I can't even say I know, but I feel you. I feel you, man. And that's why we gotta appreciate guys like you. You're a freedom fighter. You ain't one of these pro-black, you know, idiots up here just trying to get a dollar using the pro-black hustle. Oh, I love y'all, family. Donate so I can do this. Something that they never gonna do. But they try to make people believe that they that this is what they're about. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because if this what you was really about, things would be a lot more intense for you. And this is why I say we gotta watch these pro-black frauds. See, I denounced being pro-black years ago. Right here, I did it right here on YouTube. I did a stream about it. We black first over here. We ain't pro-black. That's some manufactured nonsense. That's just saying you pro-black now was like saying you part of the Black Lives Matter movement. I can't take you serious. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in, family. Um, I appreciate all the support. Much love to everybody. If y'all haven't yet, hit that like button. Share the show if you haven't yet. Also, go ahead and subscribe so you can stay in tune with me, DS1, and my platform, Sheep Stay Sleep TV, and the Black History Month series of 2019. Like I said, I'll be back tonight, y'all. And I'll see you then. This is DS1 Ross representing Sheep Stay Sleep TV. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.